This is the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation. Sa bagong Pilipinas.
Good evening, this is 13 News.
We bring you the day's top stories
that shape the country and the world.
Let's get into the headlines right now. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sees the need to construct more catchment basins in Metro Manila to further address the flooding problems.
Two tropical depressions and a tropical storm are being monitored by Pag-asa, while the active southwest monsoon continues to bring rains over parts of the country.
Senate impeachment court now admits delay in their schedule following recent cancellation of trial days due to the bad weather.
Tougher firearms law is now being pushed following the recent incident of school violence in Zamboanga.
And young Filipina singer wowed the audience and secured a 4-chair turn in The Voice Australia.
All these and more here on 13 News.
Even with improvements in the flooding situation in some areas in the metro, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. sees the need for more catch basins in the National Capital Region.
A study also identified key locations in Metro Manila where these catch basins must be constructed.
In this way, flood water can be better managed and might be utilized for other good use. IBC correspondent Eugene Fernandez has the full story.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. convened a situation briefing today among agencies who are closely monitoring and ensuring responses amid impact of continuing rains. Data says 1.7 million families and 4,700 barangays were affected by the successive rains brought by the typhoon and the southwest monsoon. Among the areas discussed was the widespread flooding last Monday.
Kung dati ay 2 stories ang baha, ngayon siguro hanggang tuhod na lang. Yung iba hindi na nabaha. At ang isa pang bagay dyan ay mas mabilis na ang paglabas ng tubig.
And in order to further address flooding problems, the president sees the need to construct catchment basins in key areas. In fact, a study by Netherlands-based company Hasconi identified around 30 locations in Metro Manila as potential sites for the nature-based flood control facilities.
Maghuhukay tayo sa ilalim ng mga existing na facilities. Halimbawa, yung mga football field, yung mga open fields, yung mga kahit na may building, pwede namang hukayin yun.
These proposed catchment facilities are intended to provide additional space for rainwater, reducing the amount of water that immediately flows into already congested drainage systems. The government targets to complete some of these before next year's rainy season.
In-instructan din po niya tayo na mabilisin yung proseso para po hopefully before yung next rainy season po next year ay may mga napatapos na tayong ganong klaseng proyekto at makita na po natin yung resulta.
The president also emphasized that stored water should not go to waste and that the government should find ways to put it into good use. In the meantime, the administration says it will continue dredging and clearing waterways, as well as deploying mobile pumps to help drain flood water faster. For the government, the goal is not only to reduce flood levels, but also to shorten the time communities have to wait for flood waters to subside. Eugene Fernandez, IBC News.
The MMDA is also set to submit an estimated budget to the DPWH for a science-based and comprehensive Metro Manila Drainage Master Plan. A lawmaker has also expressed support for this budgetary requirement in 2027. IBC correspondent Patrick Gupo has the details.
The recent torrential rains brought by the intensified southwest monsoon have shown how helpful effective flood mitigation efforts could be. In parts of Marikina City, for example, residents believe that the previous dredging and the ongoing flood control project saved them from very deep floodwaters, like what usually happens in their area in the previous years.
Mabilis hubain dati. Kasi maliit lang yung ilog namin dati. Kumbaga, maganda talaga yung ginawa nila. Inukay nila, pinalawak. Ayun, maganda ginawa nila. Sobra, malaking pakinabang yung flood control na ginawa nila.
Hindi masyado, hindi na tulad ng talagang panahon ng undoy na hindi pa naayos yung flood control. Talagang makit ang tubig. Binaba talaga.
The Department of Public Works and Highways has earlier stated that they're conducting an ongoing validation of all of the government's flood control projects. But apart from that, DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon said these projects would also need to be paralleled by other interventions.
Tuloy-tuloy tayo. Paglilinis, dredging, ayon na to sa Drainage Master Plan ng QC.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority will also submit an estimated budget to the DPWH that they would need for a science-based, updated, and comprehensive Metro Manila Drainage Master Plan. Parañaque 2nd District Representative Brian Yamsuan also assured support to this endeavor of the MMDA, even as it was not part of the executive's budgetary request for 2027.
Nakita natin yung naging problema. Nung kinreate yung budget, wala pa tong nangyaring to. Hindi pa natin nakita tong nangyari. So, pwede ka mag-adjust, pwede ka mag-amend based dun sa pangangailangan ng bansa natin.
The DPWH will soon face the House Committee on Appropriations for all of their budget requests in the proposed 2027 national budget. Patrick Gupo, IBC News.
The Department of Health, meanwhile, is on alert for a possible rise in leptospirosis cases following the widespread flooding and heavy monsoon rains this August. So far, the department has recorded more than 3,000 cases of leptospirosis starting January to August this year. Experts remind the public of the proper way to take doxycycline, a prescribed medication for the illness.
Kung walang sugat, pwedeng 2 kapsula ng doxycycline, single dose within 24 to 72 hours. Kung meron namang sugat, cuts or cracks sa balat, mag-take ng 3 to 5 days ng doxycycline, 2 kapsula din sa loob ng 3 hanggang 5 araw.
Malacanang Palace has also assured the public that we have enough supply of doxycycline, while ensuring that medical services are also available for those in need.
Kung wala mang supply ay ipaabot lamang agad sa amin, sa PCO, DOH, para po matugunan agad kung iniisip po nila na sa kanilang lugar ay may kakulangan ng mga kailangang gamot para sa mga ganitong mga illnesses na related sa pagbabaha at pag-uulan.
Pag-asa is monitoring 3 tropical cyclones in and outside of the Philippine area of responsibility, one of which is Tropical Depression Neneng, which is currently inside PAR, while another tropical depression is somewhere west of extreme northern Luzon. And the last tropical storm, Saudel, currently thousands of kilometers east of northeastern Mindanao. The Weather Bureau says none of these are directly affecting our weather condition. It is the southwest monsoon that is mainly causing rains over parts of the country, particularly Pangasinan, Zambales, and Bataan, that may receive 100 to 200 millimeters of rainfall, while Metro Manila and other parts of Luzon may experience 50 to 100 millimeters through Thursday afternoon. Pag-asa warns that rainfall may be higher in mountainous areas, while strong to gale force winds are also expected over parts of the country. Amid the continuing weather conditions, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has once again ordered alternative work arrangements in government offices and alternative learning modes in schools tomorrow, August 20. The directive covers Metro Manila and 18 provinces, including Abra, Benguet, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Tarlac, Zambales, Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, and Occidental Mindoro. Public and private schools in these areas will implement alternative learning modes and measures unless otherwise directed by their local chief executives. Government agencies providing vital services will continue operations, while contract of service and job order workers under alternative work arrangements will still receive their corresponding pay, subject to existing rules. For the private sector, the decision to suspend work or adopt alternative work arrangements will benefit and be left to management.
Meanwhile, education officials are drafting a new executive order aimed at addressing frequent class suspensions, especially in areas unaffected by these storms. DepEd Secretary Sani Angara says the measure is part of the agency's learning continuity strategy, giving local officials more authority to decide when classes should pause and when they can safely resume. Under the said proposal, schools and communities not experiencing any storm or severe weather may immediately return to in-person learning. Secretary Angara also clarified that private schools will follow a separate set of rules with guidelines tailored to their own operational needs.
Meron kaming dine-draft na executive order na dun sa frequent class suspensions para sa mga lugar na talagang wala namang bagyo, pwede mag-resume kaagad yung mga eskwelahan. At may separate rules tayo for private schools dahil sila, yung iba may sasakyan yung mga bata, ay kahit konting ulan, kaya nilang tiisin yun.
Following recent cancellations of trial days, the Senate Impeachment Court admits they are now seeing delays in their schedule. While the prosecution is once again raising their concern over lowering the voting threshold to convict the vice president, considering the number of senator judges that are in attendance in the proceedings. Princess Jordan has the full story.
Among our 24 senators, 2 are in detention, while 1 is in hiding. While Senator Loren Legarda is on a medical leave, and Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano was absent in the past few impeachment trial days. Because of that, the issue on lowering the voting threshold to convict the vice president is now becoming a concern.
Napakahirap naman siguro na ang isang hukom ay magdidesisyon sa isang paglilitis na hindi niya nakita, nadinig, naobserbahan kung ano yung mga ebidensya at mga testimonya ng mga witnesses. Diba? Hindi naman pwedeng trial in absentia yung judge.
But for Senate Impeachment Court spokesperson Attorney Reggie Tonggol, this seems not doable.
That is a dangerous proposal because it will necessarily entail the impeachment court to change the rules of the game mid-trial. At sa ating due process clauses, hindi po pinapayagan yan. Hindi po tayong parang naglalaro lang dito.
There's a current requirement of 2/3 vote or magic number of 16 to convict the vice president. But it will be a different ballgame if this issue reaches the Supreme Court.
Unless some person goes up to the Supreme Court and alleges grave abuse of discretion resulting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. So as of the moment, walang nangyayaring ganon.
Attorney Tonggol meanwhile denied that Presiding Officer Cheese Escudero is wooing some senators to convict the vice president.
Lumang tugtugin na po yan eh. Pero yung ebidensya wala naman po, no? Kaya po, yan ang pagkakaiba po ng trial by publicity at saka sa impeachment court.
However, Tonggol admits that due to the cancellations of scheduled trials because of the bad weather, they are now experiencing delay in schedule. Princess Jordan, IBC News.
House Private Prosecutor Attorney Lorna Capunan, meanwhile, delivered a sharp rebuke aimed directly at the Vice President, arguing that transparency must begin inside the Vice President's own office. IBC correspondent Patrick Gupo has the full report.
You want transparency, you should start with yourself.
That was House Private Prosecutor Attorney Lorna Capunan taking a shot at Vice President Sara Duterte. Capunan said transparency should begin with the Vice President's own office, particularly when it comes to the use of confidential funds.
Huwag natin i-blame ang president. or the budget or Congress for giving her confidential funds. Ibig sabihin ba, pag binigyan ka ng confidential funds, regalo yan sa iyo, Madam Vice President. Hindi po yan regalo sa iyo. Public funds pa rin yan.
Kapunan maintained that confidential funds are public funds and called on the Vice President to face the allegations against her before the impeachment court.
Every time nagkakainitan sa impeachment trial, nagkakaroon siya ng press conference. Parang kino-confuse ang publiko, no? Parang iniiba niya ang storya so that people will not focus on the impeachment. Sinasabi na naman niya na ito na naman ang issue ng flood control. Sana naman ang presidente in terms of this. Ang tanong natin, where is the Vice President in all of this, no?
Meanwhile, the prosecution panel acknowledged that the suspension of some trial days has delayed the proceedings and the presentation of evidence. Among those affected is the continuation of the testimony of former OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta.
Hopefully, bumilis-bilis tayo because sabi nga, no, justice delayed is justice denied.
The prosecution panel is now suggesting an additional trial day to help speed up the proceedings. They also support longer and more continuous hearings to avoid interrupting the testimonies of witnesses. Patrick Gupo, IBC News.
Coming up next, after the recent incident of the school violence in Zamboanga City, the DILG now pushes for stronger school security in all schools and tougher firearms control. Stay tuned. This is 30 News.
Dahil kailangan updated ka sa lahat ng mga kaganapan, 13 Express ang para sa'yo.
Posible ring maapektuhan ang pag-budget ng COMELEC para sa sunsa ng pambansang pulisya.
Latest news throughout the day, ihahatid ng tapat at totoo. 13 Express, Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa IBC 13.
What is the big vision here?
Hard-hitting.
Migration is a choice and not a necessity.
The goal of IOM and the goal of the Marcos government is really to make migration a choice. But is that a realistic aspiration, or is it more of like just a positive spin?
Critical.
How did this affect the people in Bahrain?
An OFW has no job security.
In-depth. Catch the Commission on Filipinos Overseas Chairman Dante Kling-Ang as he uncovers key initiatives shaping public welfare and national development. Chairman's Report, every Friday at 7 p.m.
The Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, is now pushing for strengthened security in all schools, including private education institutions. Moreover, a tougher firearms law is also being pushed against negligent gun owners. IBC correspondent Bea Peniza has the full report.
After incidents of school violence, including the latest at the Ateneo de Zamboanga University Junior High School campus, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla has called for a comprehensive review of security protocols in both public and private schools. Initial investigation showed that the student, now classified as a child in conflict with the law, entered the school premises through their basement parking, where no security guards were inspecting the entering vehicles.
Ang kailangan na napalitan yung protocol. They have to review and they have to reformat their security measures.
Remulla stressed that schools must tighten their security, ensuring that all belongings and vehicles are properly inspected. Along with that, the DILG also committed to strengthening police presence outside schools, including private educational institutions. He also underscored the importance of conducting simulations and active shooter drills to better prepare students and teachers for emergencies. Meanwhile, Remulla is also urging Congress to pass tougher legislation against negligent firearm owners.
Gun owners should be penalized for the non-safekeeping of their guns. Ngayon, again, ulitin ko, ang liability ng owner ng gun ay para ka lang nagpahiram ng kotse at yung umiram ay nakasagasa. Reckless imprudence. Pumatay na napakaraming tao pero reckless imprudence na ang charge sa may-ari ng baril.
Remulla explained that under current law, a gun owner's liability is limited when a child or another person uses their firearm, often resulting only in a case of reckless imprudence. Thus, he also called for amendments to certain provisions of the country's firearms law.
Ang hinihingi ko sa Congress, i-repeal na ang Robin Padilla Law at gawin ulit non-bailable ang loose firearms.
Finally, the DILG assured the public that it will continue coordinating with other government agencies to help ensure that violent incidents in schools do not happen again. Bea Peniza, IBC News.
Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro, meanwhile, clarified that she must have been misunderstood following her remarks on teachers. This is in relation to the recent incident of school violence in Zamboanga. Harley Valbuena has the details.
Unang-una ay wala po tayong sinisisi na mga guro.
This was the clarification issued by Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro regarding her previous statement yesterday on the campus shooting incident in Ateneo de Zamboanga. She earlier said that some teachers don't follow morals and they themselves teach their students bad conduct. Yuse Castro stressed that she might have just been misunderstood or misinterpreted.
Ito ay pagpapaalala sa ating mga kagalang-galang na mga guro kung ano po ang kanilang malaking role bilang tagahubog ng magandang kaugalian, lalong-lalo na sa mga kabataan.
Yuse Castro then showed an image of an incident in Davao City where some students said insulting words to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. She also cited a video where a teacher seems to teach students some insulting terms. The issue was already relayed to the Department of Education and the teacher will face administrative case. Yuse Castro added that she herself is a teacher's daughter, so she is aware of their situation.
Ayoko magkaroon ng additional na pang-iintriga dito. Dahil muli gusto kong linawin, naiintindihan ko po kung saan nanggagaling yung mga guro at wala po tayong sinabi na sila ang dapat sisihin.
The DepEd meanwhile continues to coordinate with law enforcement agencies for standardized school safety protocols, and this will be allocated enough funding under the 2027 national budget. PCO Secretary Dave Gomez meanwhile reminds all private and state media to be cautious and responsible in reporting sensitive information from the Ateneo de Zamboanga shooting incident. Harley Valbuena, IBC News.
The Council for the Welfare of Children, or CWC, is also calling for stronger school security in both public and private schools following the shooting incident in Zamboanga City. In an earlier interview with 13 sa Tanghali, CWC Undersecretary Angelo Tapales said the agency is coordinating with the DSWD and other partner agencies to provide psychosocial and mental health support to students affected by the incident. The CWC is also coordinating with social media platforms, including Meta and TikTok, to help prevent the spread of violent content involving children. The agency will also join the Senate investigation into the incident, where it plans to push for stronger school security, early identification and intervention for children, and proper implementation of active shooter protocols in schools nationwide. Tapales also reminded parents to provide proper guidance to their children, urged gun owners to secure their firearms, and appealed to the public not to share photos or other materials related to the shooting.
Pero siguro ang panawagan natin sa mga senators natin, sa mga lawmakers natin, masusing tingnan talaga yung kaligtasan ng ating mga paaralan pa. No? Let's not sensationalize yung mga nangyari po. No? And always respect the privacy and confidentiality ng ating mga kabataan. Ano?
Another spectacle of Filipino talent made its way to the stage of The Voice Australia. Pinay singer Jeremy Sanico wowed the judges with her emotional rendition of Celine Dion's Because You Love Me, prompting all 4 judges to turn their chairs. Jeremy said she dedicated her performance to her father, who flew all the way to Australia to support her blind audition. She will now move on to the next round with Grammy-winning singer-songwriter Richard Marx as her coach.
The U.S. has imposed financial sanctions on 2 international criminal court leaders, freezing their assets in the country and restricting transactions with U.S.-based entities. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said ICC President Tomoko Akane and senior trial lawyer Abdoulaye Seye were targeted for their roles in the court's efforts to prosecute officials from countries that have not accepted its jurisdiction. The ICC condemned the sanctions, saying it will continue its work to investigate and prosecute war crimes. Japan also expressed regret over the move, calling the sanctions very unfortunate as it continues to support the ICC and its work. More flooding has been reported across the globe as heavy rains batter northern Thailand and northern Chile. Flash floods swept through Thailand's Nan province, with floodwaters entering homes and leaving several roads impassable. Authorities have urged residents to move their belongings to higher ground and remain on high alert throughout Thursday and Friday. Meanwhile, Chile's Tocopilla province has been placed under a state of catastrophe after heavy rains triggered severe flash floods and mudslides. Authorities continue to monitor the situation as the mudslides pose a serious threat. Mud, rocks, and debris can move rapidly with enough force to endanger communities.
Philippine speed skating makes history as 13-year-old Kirsten Lane Fernandez delivers the country's first ever gold medal at the 2026 Asian Open Short Track Speed Skating Trophy in India. Fernandez topped the Junior C Girls 1,000-meter event with a time of 1 minute and 44.307 seconds, edging Indonesia and Hong Kong skaters who won silver and bronze respectively. The victory marks a groundbreaking moment for Philippine speed skating, with the competition set to continue until tomorrow. Another tournament in India, the Philippines has conquered as Gilas Pilipinas youth advanced to the next stage of the FIBA U18 Asia Cup. This came after Gilas crushed Thailand 91-62 in its final group stage match. The victory gave the Philippines a second-place finish in Group A with a 2-1 record behind undefeated Australia. Gilas will now face Syria in the qualification to the quarterfinals tomorrow at 1 p.m. And before we wrap up tonight's newscast, we bring you the results of the PCSO's 9 p.m. lottery draws. For the Mega Lotto 645, the winning numbers are 19, 40, 32, 1, 26, and 43, with a jackpot price of 19,513,135 pesos and 7 centavos. For the Grand Lotto 655, the winning combination is 4, 25, 22, 38, 30, and 33, with a jackpot prize of 142,959,524 pesos and 89 centavos. For the 4D Lotto, the winning combination in exact order is 2, 3, 5, and 8. For the 3D Lotto, the winning numbers are 7, 5, and 7. And finally, for the 2D Lotto draw, the winning numbers are 21 and 25. There are no winners for the Mega Lotto 645 and Grand Lotto 655. And those were the latest from the IBC Newsroom this evening. I am William Thio.
We'll continue to monitor the stories that matter and bring you updates as they develop. I'm Angela C.
And I'm Gabrielle Lopez. This is 13 News, keeping you informed. Good night.